guys, it's Sin, and today we are watching how one mass shooting changed the UK's guns laws forever. Let's watch it.
Here we go, guys.
People are getting shot all around me.
Hundreds of students ran for their lives.
We didn't think this would ever happen.
The shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Virginia Tech.
Parkland Columbine High School.
A total of 15 people.
33 dead.
20 children, 7 adults.
More than 240,000 US students have experienced gun violence at school since Columbine in 1999. But in the UK, it's a different story. Private ownership of all handguns and semi-automatic rifles is banned, a concept unimaginable in America. But how have these two inextricably linked nations ended up with such vastly different attitudes on guns? And how did this massive change in the UK even happen? To understand, we have to go back to 1996, when the Dunblane massacre changed everything.
You realize how far it got back?
Yeah, 1996.
And where we at?
Girl, we're in 2024.
And we can't change it.
No.
But I needed to see this because I was shocked when I saw it for myself. All right? Okay, let's continue. All right? Here we go. We're in frame. That's all that matters.
Grief, shock and disbelief in the Scottish town of Dunblane.
A former scout leader with a grudge.
It is a tragedy without precedent.
16 tiny children died right here at Dunblane Primary School.
The massacre, carried out by a man who had licenses for his guns, was enough to change the UK's gun laws forever.
What's truly amazing is that by the end of the next year, it became illegal to own a handgun in the UK.
But how did the UK get to that point so fast? It was mainly due to the activism from those personally affected by the attack.
Did you hear that? By the end of the what? Next year.
Yeah, by the end of next year, they're not playing.
And who caused the change?
The activists, those that were affected by it.
The victim's family.
Yeah.
And here we are, here in the US. And you know what? Let me not get mad. Here,
I'm sorry, it's 16 children. That is so sad. 16. And many of our children have died.
How many? You see how many?
I can't keep count. Yeah, 16. Okay. That's so sad.
Thousands of children have lost lives here, and not everybody talking about the Second Amendment right. Don't get me started. Let's continue.
My daughter Sophie was one of the 16 young children who were shot dead at Dunblane Primary School. She and I were on our own. She was my only child.
Dr. Mick North was an academic before the shooting, but after, he found it impossible to return to that life. So he devoted himself to making sure other parents never had to experience his agony by becoming a gun control activist.
Hi. One of my initial reactions after Dunblane was a feeling that this should never have happened because the guns that the perpetrator used have been too easy to come by.
Dr. North combined forces with other people who were touched by Dunblane, like former Scottish Labour MP Richard Simpson.
Now, he was a doctor at the local hospital at the time, but then after that experience, he changed his entire career, became a Labour MP, and helped to lead the motion to change the gun laws in the UK.
What I discovered was that the then Conservative government was in the process of actually seeking to deregulate the process by which guns were regulated in the United Kingdom. And that really made me very annoyed.
These two men were part of a movement fighting to be heard by politicians. Residents of Dunblane and relatives of victims started speaking out and organising public relations campaigns and creating petitions.
Politicians weren't necessarily used to hearing from the victims of shooting incidents.
Everyone who says, I enjoy the sport, I want to hold the gun in my hand and have the live ammunition. What I say is, you have those emotions for enjoying your sport, but feel the emotions of a parent who is never going to see their child again.
There was a...
That's so sad.
This one ripped me to shreds. Every time I hear of any shooting whatsoever with a life lost, innocent life lost, it ripped me to shreds. Especially kids, because I have 5. So, yeah.
Really a massive groundswell A bit like the climate extinction movement now. It wasn't highly coordinated or paid for.
So we had a petition called the Snowdrop Petition, which was getting the public to sign up for a ban on handguns, eventually gaining over 700,000 signatures. Within 2 years, a total ban on handguns had been introduced in this country.
By 1999, over 165,000 guns and over 700 tons of ammo had been surrendered.
There was a lot of opposition to it, and it was suggested that it would actually badly affect people who used guns for sport, but it hasn't done so.
What we did was a major achievement, and I'm very satisfied with what we were able to do.
Dunblane happened. The gun laws were overhauled before Columbine even happened, 2 years earlier. It's like the precedent was set. We knew what was starting to happen across the world.
And 2 years later, on April 20th, 1999, 2 teenagers shot and killed 12 fellow students and a teacher at Columbine High School near Denver, Colorado. Just like Dunblane did in the UK.
That 2 years later in the United States, that took place. And have anything changed since then?
No, it keeps on happening. Yeah.
And they...
Columbine shocked Americans. It wasn't the first school shooting in the US, but those images captured on live TV set something off that had ripple effects throughout the country. And just like in Dunblane, no one was closer to the situation than the victims' parents.
I'm the father of Daniel Mauser. He was one of the students killed at Columbine High School. He was 15 years old.
Like Mick North before him, Tom devoted his life to fighting for gun control, even taking a year off from work to lobby at the state capitol.
Just 2 weeks before Columbine, at the dinner table, Daniel asked me a question based on a conversation that he had with other members of the debate team. He said, "Dad, did you know there were loopholes in the Brady Bill?" Brady Bill is a national law that requires background checks for a use a gun. And I just kind of blew it off. He was then killed with a gun that was purchased through a loophole in the Brady Bill. I mean, how could I not act on that? To me, that was very prophetic. And it made me realize that when we have loopholes like that, when we have so much carnage in this country, we have to do something about it. I became very vocal, active.
And Tom did make some very real progress on a state level soon after, helping to introduce a bill to close the same gun show loophole he and Daniel had discussed over dinner. In 2000, the public voted and passed Colorado's answer to the Brady Bill by an overwhelming majority of about 70%.
I felt that I did something to honor Daniel. I did something in response to something he brought up to me.
But this small victory at the state level in Colorado was overshadowed by strong...
Sorry, I just noticed that it says state level, not the whole entire United States, but just Colorado alone.
Exactly.
And UK was a whole entire, like, that's crazy. That is crazy. I am proud of what he did. So that is really good, but I'm disappointed that was only in Colorado, not the whole entire United States. That's my issue.
You don't want to get me started. Let's keep rolling, because I'm mad.
Strong national backlash against gun safety laws. Barely a year after Columbine, then NRA President Charlton Heston gave this famous threat.
From my cold, dead hands.
In America, we are so wrapped up in individualism and rights that we say, well, no, we can't do that because it might possibly affect my rights. And for a lot of people, that's more important than what could possibly happen to them or their neighbors. It's a cultural issue that is very starkly different between us and other nations. I think it's shameful in the US that we have failed to really react in any significant way.
Since Columbine, the narrative in the US around gun rights and gun control has only become more polarizing.
Restricting law-abiding Americans from acquiring guns is obviously unconstitutional.
Is it time to repeal the Second Amendment?
The left has their rigid, radical, anti-gun agenda.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
In the US, barely any federal gun control laws have passed since Columbine. In fact, experts say the most significant change in gun law is when politicians let the Clinton-era assault weapons ban expire in 2004, making assault weapons like AR-15s legal again. Since then, the AR-15 has been used in almost every notable mass shooting in America. And
they had a ban, and they let that time pass, so those AR-15 can go back on the market, accessible to how many shootings they said took place? Okay.
Yes, and it's been happening with the same guns that they banned. That's so sad and messed up. And nothing has changed since the
20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time, since 2004.
But remember, the first was in 1999.
Yeah,
because in the UK it was 96. They were 1999, 3 years later. First of such magnitude with kids. And we're how many years in?
And so many has happened. So many of them have happened.
And no change. No change. Yes, he made a little change in Colorado.
Yes.
But it's just a tip in the bucket.
Yes.
Tip. And everybody complain about, taking away their rights and all of that. You understand me? That's my issue, what everybody is complaining about. Everybody. So let's go back again from, let's say, Clinton era. Expired in... Okay.
And expire in 2004, making assault weapons like AR-15s legal again. Since then, the AR-15 has been used in almost every notable mass shooting in America. And the problem continues to get worse. The US has more firearms per person than any other country in the world. And it's the only country in the world that has more guns than people. And the US gun homicide rate is 25 times that of other high-income countries,
Look at that. The US and the UK. Look at that. That's a huge difference. A huge.
But look at this graph though, overall.
Yes.
Per population, you know. Per 100,000
population.
Look.
My goodness.
It's a shame.
Definitely.
Including the UK.
The main problem is not necessarily the Second Amendment, but how that has been interpreted.
In America, there needs to be an understanding of how to tighten the law without grossly infringing on what are perceived of as rights under the Second Amendment.
But it does seem ridiculous to use the words of the Founding Fathers to decide how you control or don't control weapons that are usually used in war zones.
Exactly.
There have been so many mass shootings since Columbine that many Americans feel hopeless about reform. The fact remains, however, that 61% of Americans do support stricter gun laws. And there are many potential changes, such as closing the gun show loophole or restricting assault weapons, that would make a huge impact and would not go as far as a total ban on firearms.
It takes a long time sometimes. It's not just changing the laws. You also have to change culture to get people to be willing to change the laws.
And perhaps there'll come a time when enough people vote in politicians who will be supportive of the gun control measures that America needs and deserves.
No one has kids so they can buy them bulletproof backpacks. You have kids so that they can...
Do you remember that? There were ads back then about bulletproof backpack in the US. I remember that because I was in school that time, and that was almost everywhere. Every parent saw that ad about those bulletproof backpacks, and I was like, "This is where we're come to. Like, this is where we're at. This is where we're
it's
at."
my first time hearing that.
Yeah, you gotta watch the ad. We gotta react to the ad, but yeah, there is an ad about bulletproof backpacks in the US.
Because remember, I didn't grow here, so
yeah. No, you're good. We gotta watch that.
Interesting.
And that's how messed up. Like, why do we gotta do that, but can't change our laws? Can't change our.
And see, this is what I say again. It all boils down again to politics.
Yeah.
Because you're putting people in power that are for and not against certain things that you believe. Let's not get into it.
Yeah.
Let's
hopefully thrive in a better world than you did. We really have to ask ourselves if we're giving them that opportunity.
It is so sad.
Yeah, that was a heavy.
People are getting shot all around.
It is so sad to sit here and watch this. To sit here and think that people really think that it is okay, or we're overstepping our bounds to say that, look, there needs to be stricter laws to protect your own family.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense to me. It just doesn't. Yeah. It is crazy. And the reason why this came to mind, because we're looking at that other video, and I was like, you had to see this video, because I cannot believe that this, and majority of Americans do not know this.
No, I did not know.
Here you have open carry.
Oh yeah, especially in Texas. Sorry, Texas. We love Texas, but
in Kentucky too, because I used to live. Yeah, we used to live in Kentucky. You don't have to conceal.
No,
you don't have to have open carry. You walk, and any store you walk into, it's like nothing. People just walk about with their hitch on their side. I think we have open carry here in Alaska too, because I've seen a few people, a few times walking into Walmart, walking with me with the thing on their hip. I'm like, you go. Dang. Do you think? Yeah, so I think we do have open carry, or else they would have to conceal it. So we do have open carry here in Alaska. It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy that you have to put your kids out and you're sitting at home stressing and praying that they make it back home safely.
Exactly.
And these kids are trying to they don't need this pressure on them to go to school and worry about stuff like that. They're kids. They need to enjoy life. They don't. Oh, see? I don't know. And everybody's complaining about the wrong stuff. The wrongs. I can see where you can say, oh, we don't need guns. We don't need. You understand me? Okay, it's for a war zone if we're going to war. But in this day and age, there changes can be made. Ain't nobody stop you from going out and hunting. Ain't nobody stopping you. And not only that, the accessibility is too easy.
Too much. Like, there's no background checks. Like, not really. They really enforce that, especially at Walmart, where you can just walk in and get a gun. It's really scary. It really is.
It is scary. Like back in the day, you have a police officer would know. I understand there are millions of people in the US, don't get me wrong. But back in the day, a police officer can go into a community and say, do you know John? Is John a good person? Do you think John is reliable? Do you think John is capable of? Do you think, you understand? You can walk in. That's how I grew up.
Oh, sorry. I did not know that.
Question you? Of course, question. Go in the community. We had even now, back in Jamaica, where I grew up, a policeman can walk into my community and say, oh, do you know Brother John that lives down the road? And a person is not gonna look at him and say, oh, I'm not talk about nobody, or I'm not gonna give information because I'm a ratting out. No. Yeah, Brother John, yeah. You have an uncle, you have a cousin, you have a this, you have a crazy cousin down the corner. You ain't doing anything wrong. You understand? It's different if it's a criminal. You understand? But a regular schmegler down the road, anybody worry about giving information about that. But that's not anymore. People are afraid of police officers here in the US.
Very, very.
And everybody feel like they need to carry something to protect themselves. To protect themselves from what? I can go on and on because this one is a touchy one for me.
And it's so much to unpack. So much.
So messed up that we're living in a world. I thought we were so civilized that we can talk things out, or we can say, okay, we don't need this. It's not a necessity. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not a necessity. I'm sorry, it is not a necessity. Yeah, you want to go have fun. You bring it back home, you lock it up. People don't even lock up the thing in safe. You know, my kids, 3 points, the 3 points cut out at home because of careless parents. listen, we'll go on and on. I'll get madder and madder and madder and more upset the way I am. And I'm telling you, but I think, to be honest, I'm happy with the outcome the other day with the team that went and did that, and they lock up the parents as well.
Oh yeah,
I'm on board with that.
They've been doing that too.
That was the first case the other day that both mom and dad got charged and are going away. I guess if we start doing that, then some changes will take place.
But this is long overdue. No excuses for me. Like since 2004, absolutely no excuses, and it's been happening.
But since before we even hit the 2000s, guys,
we gotta go.
We ain't going nowhere, but we gotta. Yeah. This one is hot, and it get me. If you guys could just, if it was possible for you to see what's my pressure plate going off in my head, you know, like when you do cartoon. I'm about to fume because it's madness. Love you guys. Drop your requests in the comment section and we'll get it done. This is Z. I'm not going to mix up myself with that crazy one over here. And this is Sin. We're back. Catch you in another one, guys. Bye. Man, this is mad.